All right, joining us now to discuss is Katie Talati, Head of Research at crypto asset manager Arca. Welcome, Katie, to the show. So over the weekend, we saw TerraUSD, also known as UST, depeg from the US dollar, around 98 cents. And that led to Monday's crash to 61 cents. Luna, which is supposed to be burned and minted to stabilize UST, lost about half of its market value overnight. So maybe you could tell us, how did this all start in the first place?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Christine. So what exactly happened was that on Saturday night, this prior weekend, it looks like about $500 million was withdrawn from Anchor protocol, which, if you're not familiar with it, is the lend, borrow, earn protocol on Terra. Anchor depositors, essentially, if they deposit UST, they are given a 20% APY that is essentially subsidized by Luna or the Luna Foundation Guard. And so somebody ended up withdrawing a large amount of their UST from Anchor, and it kind of just started a bit of a bank run. After withdrawing it from there, they went and sold their UST via Curve, where there was very low liquidity for UST, and that essentially started the break on the peg. Following that, we saw more withdrawals from Anchor. To give you an idea, Anchor began the weekend at about 13 or 14 billion in deposits, and it's now at 6 billion. So it's seen, over 7 billion in TVL leave in the last 3 days.
Yeah, I think we do have a chart on that. There it is. All right. So do we have an idea who may have started this, who may have triggered it? I mean, I've seen theories online.
There's definitely been a lot of speculation. I know there's been a lot of names called on folks from the traditional financial world, folks from the crypto native world. To be honest, I don't know if we'll ever know unless they decide to come forward. There's a lot of on-chain sleuths going through the data right now and trying to understand who could have caused it. And they, right now it's been inconclusive.
So Terra Luna's market cap was at about $40 billion last month. Now it's at about 10 billion. UST was about 19 billion over the weekend. Now it's at 16 billion. So what is the main point here, however, is that over the past couple of months, the Luna Foundation Guard has been buying billions of dollars worth of BTC and other cryptocurrencies. And so there were warnings of, some sort of systemic risk were to come across the crypto markets at large if ever UST were to lose its peg. Did we essentially see that play out yesterday?
We did. I think that, we're still kind of collecting the pieces of what exactly happened. Specifically, there's a lot of folks who believe that the first thing they shouldn't have done is just sold or loaned out their Bitcoin, because that, as you saw, put immediate downward pressure on the price of Bitcoin. As it was loaned out, market makers sold it, in order to be short. And that basically caused kind of like this cascading effect across the ecosystem. And unfortunately, as the peg on UST continued to deviate, there was just more downward pressure and panic throughout the market as people, said, oh, Luna Foundation is selling all their Bitcoin. I need to sell mine. I need to get on sides. I need to be risk off right now. So I think, unfortunately, it's kind of had an unfortunate ripple effect, as I said. I think a lot of people's worst fears did come to fruition, but at the same time, I also think it has to do with the execution.
All right. Well, Terraform Labs CEO Do Kwon is very specific about saying that the Luna Foundation Guard is lending out BTC reserves to market makers, so as not to say that they are selling their BTC for UST to stabilize the peg. But is that what is happening? Are they in effect using market makers to sell BTC and buy UST?
Not completely. The market makers are technically the ones who we believe sold the BTC after it was loaned out to them. And in this case, the market makers who were loaned the BTC would be short BTC. And now, for the most part, they're able to buy Bitcoin back 10% lower. So not only have they made, money on their lending spread, but also on the short that they just covered.
And are they buying on exchanges or over the counter as well?
I couldn't tell you for sure. I would say probably a combination of both.
All right. So what is the outlook on Bitcoin? We already see Bitcoin has bounced back from yesterday's sell-off. So where do we go from here?
It's tough to say. I think a lot of people were starting to feel pretty bearish, and I think we've seen the last couple of weeks that the broader crypto market has really taken a bit of a hit. The news of the Fidelity 401k retirement accounts, that news a few weeks ago was pretty impactful, and it had almost no impact on the price of Bitcoin in the market. And really, that in my view, was a very positive, catalyst for Bitcoin, and potentially puts a permanent bid in the market. I think that, right now, a lot of asset prices in general need to kind of correct and smooth out. I think this is, yesterday was probably the worst of the damage, but, I can't tell from here what will happen next.
Mm-hmm. Well, Doe says that he has a recovery plan for UST. So I suppose if you want to speculate, what happens to Terra Luna from here on out?
Again, I don't know. I think it really depends on the recovery plan that gets announced, the execution. It does look like they just reported from another news outlet that they are looking to raise above $1 billion to help fix the peg, and I guess we'll see how that plays out.